Hi, so we're continuing our learning of Mishnah on Shabbat. And we're still dealing with things having to do with Shabbos candles. So we'll see two mishnayot today that reference that in different ways. So the first one is Mishnah 5. Hey. Mechabe et haner mipnei shehu mityare mipnei goyim mipnei listim mipnei ruach ra ve'im bishvil hachole sheishan patur. One who extinguishes a lamp because he fears for idolaters, because of bandits, because of this ruach ra, which is maybe melancholia, maybe some kind of evil spirit, some kind of whether that be spiritual or psychological, something having to do with that. Ve'im bishvil hachole sheishan, that's or for a sick person so that they can fall asleep, that's why you're extinguishing. Patur, they would be exempt. So it's using this language of not mutar, not permissible, but patur, exempt, meaning the counterpart to liable, so it wouldn't be biblically forbidden here. And it sounds like these are cases where we're concerned of danger. Maybe these are pikuach nefesh, these are life-saving situations, that there's some kind of concern with idolaters because of, historically, there were maybe some religions or ancient communities that would have their own kind of fire ritual and would forbid other fires during that time. And bandits, that one is seems obvious. That has to do with you have to get rid of the light because you don't want them to see you. People that might rob you or hurt you because of this evil spirit. Maybe there's some kind of threat of this psychological or spiritual crisis that someone's having, or because of a sick person, a chole, so that they can be able to sleep. It's an important part of their healing if someone is very sick. So all these things, it seems like it could be pikuach nefesh, the life-saving, could be the reason why they are not liable. But then the language of just patur is kind of strange, because we know that in pikuach nefesh situations, it would be that you actually are supposed to do it. It's not just that you are allowed to and that you're not going to be liable or held accountable for violating Shabbat. Rather, you have a moral and halachic imperative if it's really a pikuach nefesh situation. So that language maybe seems a little strange. Maybe we're dealing with something else, or maybe it's just using that language because that's the language of these mishnayot, of this chayav versus patur, of the liable versus exempt. The Mishnah continues, kechas al haner, kechas al hashemen, kechas al haptila chayav. But if he does so to spare the lamp, to spare the oil, or to spare the wick, he is liable. So if it's just you want to save some component of the lamp, you want to preserve it, then you would be liable, because then it's not about this necessary or perhaps life-saving situation. Rabbi Yossi poter bechulan chutz min hapatila mipnei shehu osa pecham. So Rabbi Yossi exempts all of these cases except for that of the wick, because he makes it into charcoal. So this brings up the topic of malacha she'enet tzricha legufa. So malacha, one of the creative labors that is not necessary in and of itself for its specific purpose, for its defined purpose. So the malacha of extinguishing in the Mishkan, in the temple, had to do with creating charcoal. So it was a creative process in order to make something that you did the action to achieve the desired result of the physical object that you want, the charcoal. So that could be interpreted to be the only way in which it's biblically forbidden. If it's for creating something specifically, if it's because you want the result of that, not just to remedy a situation. So in the cases of the first cases that we looked at, you're not doing it because you want something from extinguishing the lamp. You're doing it because there's some kind of concern or danger or issue going on. And that could be the reason why it is patur. So not necessarily that it has to be pikuach nefesh, but just because there's some kind of remedying as opposed to wanting the actual item itself, the object, or creating something specific that you want. Okay, moving on. Mishnah 6. So Mishnah 6, I feel like I should preface by saying that this is one that's a lot of people find very troubling, challenging in many ways. So maybe let's try to provide some context and framing for this, because I think just hearing it on the surface level, or maybe it just is troubling, problematic in certain ways. So let's listen to this one. Al shalosh averot nashim metot b'shat leidatan. For these 3 transgressions, women die during childbirth. Al she'enan zehirot benida uvechala uvehadlakat haner. Because they're not careful, scrupulous concerning nida, the ritual family purity, challah, separating challah when baking challah, the mitzvah of separating a piece of that, and lighting the Shabbat lamps. So I think during the time of the Mishnah and during the time of the rabbis, obviously, thousands of years ago, childbirth was much more dangerous, and there was an understanding of needing specific, very specific help and care and special kindness from God to come through that very challenging, very dangerous circumstance. So I think it has to do with these are 3 ways that maybe earn that kind of special care, as opposed to being any small slip up in these things. If you're not totally perfect in them, then you should or risk death or are deserving of death. I don't think that's what it's saying. I think that it's saying that more so that these are 3 ways maybe that create that kind of relationship that merits kind of a special kind of kindness or a special kind of protection. And that comes from viewing this life experience of childbirth as uniquely dangerous and needing unique, special, loving care and kindness from God during that time. Okay, so we'll continue with chapter 2, Mishnah 7 next week. Everyone have a great week. Bye.